In the spring of 1945, the European continent was shattered. With the Axis powers defeated, the governments and militaries that had waged war for 6 years were gone, leaving a power vacuum stretching from Paris to Berlin. 4 years earlier, the United States and the United Kingdom had attempted to plan for this recovery. In 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill drafted the Atlantic Charter, a framework for international cooperation that explicitly rejected territorial expansion. But for the nations living in the rubble, grand global frameworks were secondary to survival. France and the United Kingdom shared one immediate fear: that Germany would rebuild its military and strike them for a third time. To prevent that specific outcome, these two nations signed the Treaty of Dunkirk in 1947. This was a bilateral mutual assistance alliance designed for the sole purpose of countering a resurgent Germany. While European leaders signed treaties to fight the ghosts of World War II, the Soviet Union was actively consolidating power across Eastern Europe. By focusing on a defeated Germany, they neglected the mobilization of a new adversary to their east. Across the Atlantic, the United States recognized this shift. In 1947, the U.S. introduced the Truman Doctrine, marking a pivot in Western foreign policy toward the containment of Soviet influence. The doctrine offered financial and military support to promote international solidarity against what the U.S. government defined as communist aggression. In February 1948, a communist coup d'état overthrew the democratic government in Czechoslovakia. The Soviet sphere had expanded through direct force into the heart of the continent. Europe reacted immediately. In March 1948, France and the UK expanded the Dunkirk alliance into the Brussels Treaty, forming the Western Union. They widened their defensive perimeter by incorporating the Benelux countries. Yet, this pact remained insufficient. Recovering European nations lacked the combined economic and military mass required to deter the Soviet Union. They needed the backing of North America. The Western Union took a diplomatic leap, reaching out across the ocean to invite the United States, Canada, and other European nations to negotiate a wider military alliance. Those talks culminated in Washington on April 4, 1949, with the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty. At the center of this new agreement was a specific legal mechanism, Article 5. This animated schematic illustrates the collective security mandate. Under Article 5, if an armed attack occurs against one specific member state, the treaty legally considers it an attack against every member state in the alliance. This protection had limits. Under Article 6, the treaty drew a boundary line at the Tropic of Cancer, excluding colonial territories south of that border from the collective defense obligation. By ratifying this document, North America legally bound its own military survival to the defense of Western Europe, creating a permanent transatlantic shield. Despite the signatures in Washington, the North Atlantic Treaty remained inactive for its first few years. It was an agreement on paper, lacking deployed troops or a centralized command structure. That dormancy ended in 1950. The outbreak of the Korean War proved that the Cold War could ignite into a hot conflict without warning. NATO leaders realized a paper guarantee lacked the weight to deter a physical military advance. To protect Western Europe, the alliance needed a standing, integrated army. In 1951, NATO implemented an integrated military structure, officially named Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, or SHAPE. To manage civilian and military assets, the alliance established the post of Secretary General in 1952, appointing Lord Ismay as its first leader. In May 1955, the alliance took the controversial step of permitting West Germany to rearm its military and formally join NATO. The Soviet Union retaliated within days, gathering its satellite states to sign the rival Warsaw Pact, a competing collective defense treaty for the Eastern Bloc. The alliance that had initially formed to protect Europe from Germany ultimately armed and absorbed Germany to protect Europe from the Soviet Union. This shift finalized the battle lines of the Cold War.